Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I seek refuge with Allah against Satan, the rejected, with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Praise is for Allah, the guardian, evolver, sustainer, and cherisher of all the worlds. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. We witness that nothing deserves to be worshipped except Allah. He's one and alone, unique without associates or partners, and there's nothing that is comparable with him. And we witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah, the one to whom the Quran is revealed, that he is his servant and his messenger, and the seal of the prophets. We are grateful to Allah for allowing us to be present here today for Salatul Jumu'ah. We ask that Allah bless and guide our efforts throughout this day and throughout the rest of our life. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah is very important, that we witness that nothing deserves to be worshipped except Allah. We are fortunate to see the presence of Islam growing in America throughout these cities. We believe that we have opportunity to establish our presence here for giving dawah, for growing and establishing Muslim life. And one of those things is realized through obeying Allah. Allah commands us to come to Salatul Jumu'ah. So this is one of the things that we see as being established here in America, here in San Francisco. Muslims are making their presence felt by coming together in obedience to Allah. Nasta'inuhu, nastaghfiruhu, wa nu'minu bihi azza wa jalla. We ask Allah for His guidance. We beg Allah for His forgiveness. We believe in Him, and we never separate or break from Him. We are happy to be at Masjid Dar es Salaam here at 20 Jones Street in San Francisco. This is a special place, and you can feel the sincerity of the people who come here to worship Allah. So that's our reason for being here today. Brother Khalid called me maybe an hour and a half ago and asked me if I would come here and could give a khutbah. I was not planning to give a khutbah where I normally attend Salatul Jumu'ah at the Muslim Community Center on Mission Street. We had a guest khatib today, and I was on my way to Santa Clara. But whenever Khalid calls or Matada calls, we're brothers, we're friends, we support each other, we help each other, and that's a part of what Islam is. Islam is a religion where we give support to each other. We try to strengthen each other. We try to help each other. And we pray for each other. So being in the company of the believers to make salat is said to be valuable, more valuable than we do when we do it alone. So we're always happy to be in this company. And I prepared a talk, inshallah. We're going to talk about time and how human beings interact with time, from the guidance that we find in the Quran and from the example of the sayings of Muhammad, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're going to try to draw some ideas from that. But firstly, I would like to advise you, Usikum wa nafsi Allah bi taqwa ta'atihi. I advise you to be careful of your duty to Allah Most High and obey Him. We're always told that we should hold to taqwa. We should protect ourselves from the influences in the environment that can harm us. On one occasion, one of the Prophet's companions asked another companion what the Prophet had said about taqwa. full of bushes and thorns? And the person responded to him, he said, yes. He said, what did you do in that situation? He said, I gathered my garments about me so that I wouldn't get hurt, so I wouldn't get injured, so nothing could damage my skin. He said, that's what taqwa is. Protecting yourself from those things outside that can hurt you. Now, right now, we're living in a time period in America where man has constructed this season according to certain customs they have. They call it Christmas, they call it New Year's, they call it the holidays, and we know that the holidays are incorporating falsehoods, and they appeal to young people because they associate the holidays with gift giving, with receiving things, presents, toys, bicycles, all of those things that children love experiencing. Everybody wants a skateboard. Everybody wants some new skates or some toys or some games. Now it's Nintendos and all of those kind of things that they play with. And those are given it this year. But it's commercialized. It's commercialized along the lines of the birth of Isa, alayhi salam. And they say that he was born December the 25th, though they know he wasn't. All of the historical documents point to Jesus Christ being born maybe around September, not December. And the historical figure that was known to be born, they claim to be born December 25th was Nimrod. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. But we're mentioning that because we're in this season and we need to protect our children from those influences. We need to protect our grandchildren from those influences because they're selling those influences. They're selling them through the commercial market. They're selling them through the school books and the school programs that our children, if they're not going to Islamic schools, if our grandchildren aren't going to Islamic schools, then they're being influenced by these ideas that are permeating the American public educational system. So we should resist those influences and offer alternatives. A good thing for the Muslims in San Francisco, Muslim activists and organizers and school teachers, they made an effort for the San Francisco Unified School District to recognize Eid. So Eid is being recognized now in the very near future. I believe it's 2024. They will allow our children to have Eid off as a holiday like other people celebrate their holiday days at different times of year. So we're very fortunate to have committed individuals who are working to see that our faith is recognized and respected by government officials and by these institutions that we are involved with. And we're very happy about that. Now for this khutbah, we want to begin reading Surah Al-Asr, which is a very important surah in our Quran, and it gives great direction to us. And I would want to start by reading Wal-Asr. إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. And Abdullah Yusuf Ali, his service to our community by translating the Quran into English in the early 1930s. In the 1930s, he worked on it for 30 years, translating the Quran from Arabic into English. He translates it by the token of time through the ages. Verily, man is in loss, except such as have faith and do righteous deeds and join together in the mutual teaching of truth with patience and constancy. So this is very important that we understand that time is squeezing or reaming. What they call juice is called asir. Juice is called asir. Asir comes from the juice being crushed and pressed, and then the juice comes out and we benefit from it. We can drink it, and we receive many benefits from that. And time functions like that in terms of every day. We all get the same amount of time, 24 hours. And then that time begins to press you. It's a time when you have to get up and we make fajr. It's a time when we have to leave our homes and go to work. It's a time when we have to get through traffic. There are time consequences that we have to meet that press us, and we can never defeat time. Time is going to do what it does. We may live for 40 years. We may live for 50 years. We may live for 60 years. And it says time is going to defeat you. In time, you're going to experience losses. This is what Allah is telling us in the Quran. Most of us who have gotten older, I've gotten a little older, and time has had its effect on me. There was a time when I had a head full of hair. I lost all of it, pretty much. So I had to cut it so that I look presentable when I come before the public. I could just let it grow and have patches here and spots here, but we usually don't like to present ourselves like that. So we lose things like that. And in many cases, sometimes we lose muscles, sometimes we lose our ability, sometimes we lose our memories, except for those who believe. Because we believe that this life is not the end of it. We believe that this life is only a trial period for us. The real life is that life that comes after. We're not trying to stay in this environment that we're in. We know this is a temporary sojourn. We know that this is not the end destination. We're trying to get to the Jannah. We're trying to get to paradise. We're trying to join Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his Sahaba. We're trying to join those great Muslim leaders who contributed to establishing Islamic life in this part of the world and in other parts of the world. We want to join with the righteous. So we're striving and hopeful that Allah will favor us with being in the company of the righteous in the life that's to come. We know this is not all of it, and we're grateful. But it gives us a prescription here. It says, in verily man is in loss, what is this aminu solihat? It's talking about our collective working together, our collective energy, our collective activities, our collective pooling of our resources, so that we can establish those things that benefit the Muslim community. So we have a responsibility to be aminu solihat. It means the collective body. That when we strike together. When we build together. When we educate together. When we socialize together. And all of those activities make us stronger because of our collective efforts. And this is important, that we're not in this by ourselves. It feels good having this many people at Salat al-Jumu'ah. It feels good when you look around and you see other believers who are striving as you are, trying to establish their life as Muslims, who are trying to avoid those things in this society that will take us down. And we know that following the principles and the guidance of Al-Islam, keeping our intentions pure, keeping our behavior and our conduct pure, keeping our humility as human beings. We don't want to get too arrogant. We don't want to get too big. We don't want to think that we have all of the answers to the world's problems. We don't want to take on an egotistical attitude. We're human beings. We believe that Al-Islam is the best way of life. If you perceive it properly, and if Allah demonstrate that, but we're not arrogant about it. Other people also have good. Other people also make their contributions to improving life on this earth, and we're in competition with them. We're in competition with them. We're striving to do more good than Christians. We're striving to do more good than Jews. We're striving to do more good than Catholics. We're striving to do more good than communists. Are we going to be successful? Well, we're still in the race. The race isn't over. So we still have a responsibility to try to make life better, not only for ourselves, but for our neighbors. Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned the neighbor so much that his companions thought when they died and passed away that the neighbor had rights to their inheritance, whatever they left as goods. He mentioned rights of the neighbor so much that they thought the neighbor was to inherit from their wealth. And the Prophet also, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, if you build a fire in your backyard and the smoke from your fire is going into the neighbor's area, you should put your fire in a different position so the neighbor won't suffer from your pollution. Isn't that a wonderful man that was so considerate, not only of the needs of his community, the Muslim community, he was, as the Quran says, Al-Amin. He was a mercy to all of the whole world, to the whole universe. So Prophet Muhammad was something of he was concerned about the climate. He was concerned about the environment. He cautioned Muslims not to use the bathroom upstream where the water or pollution would go to those downstream. He said, go away from the stream and use it. Don't pollute. He told us not to spit around the masjid, because if you spit around the masjid or in front of the masjid, inadvertently you're going to bring those pollutions into the masjid. So he was environmentally conscious before people became conscious of the environment. And Prophet Muhammad, he was an example for us. He lived out how we should live our life. And he demonstrated for us how we should treat our wives, how we should treat our children, how we should treat our neighbors, what type of relationships we should have with our friends, how we should be trusting each other and doing fair business and being honest. He went into the marketplace and examined the goods that were being sold at the bazaars or the souks, and he would examine the products, and he would caution the believers not to deceive or cheat other believers. Don't put the good products on top and have the bad products buried underneath so you can't see it. He said, no, show it all so that people are aware of what they are receiving. So these things are important because these are matters that we can utilize every day in our daily goings and comings. So these verses, they go on to say, except such as have faith and do righteous deeds, and join together in the mutual teaching of truth. Tawassol, it means it goes both ways. Tawassol means it's like a two-way street. It's not just you telling somebody else what's right and not abiding by it yourself. You have to respect it also. It's a mutual. It benefits the men, it benefits the women. It's true for the children, it's true for the adults. It's true for the politicians and the people in power, just like it's true for the people who are being administered to. It requires us to be fair and to be just. And these are important ideas because we live in a society where some people think that they have privilege. Some people think that they have rights that don't apply to the common person. Our Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we love him. He said the Muslims are as equal as the teeth in a comb. Isn't that a beautiful description? The teeth in a comb don't move. They just ability to stand. It's not my muscles. I still have my muscles, even when I pass out. You understand? When you pass out, you still have bones, you still have muscles, but something happens to your spirit. Al-Amin is about spirit. There's a spirit that comes with this knowledge that we have that makes us want to come to Salat al-Jumu'ah. It's a spirit that we have when we hear the Qawm al-Salat, and that spirit causes us to rise up. And then when we stand up, we're standing on balls. The balls in your feet, the balls in your knees, the balls in your hip joints. We're standing on balls and shrivels. You know how the ball turns on the bottom of the chair, that you have rolls on it, and it'll move in any direction that you want it to move in. That's a part of how Allah designed the human being. We can turn around, we can move 360, we can look forward, we can look backward, all because Allah has given us miraculous design in the way we constituted the human body. And they're still trying to learn from just studying the human body. We have more bones in our feet and hands than any other part of the body. And the feet and the hands, we have to take care of our hands and our feet when we make wudu, right? When we wash up. And the hands and the feet are more obedient to us than other parts of the body. Your feet are usually neglected. You don't take care of your feet the way you should. I saw a man in the gas station this morning, and he had on some slippers, so I could see the heels of his feet. You know, he had on slippers. And his feet looked so bad to me. I felt like giving him some money and sending him to go see a podiatrist to work on his feet, because human beings should take care of their feet. It's important. And we should take care of our feet. And we should be concerned about other people's conditions, because they affect us over time. Whatever happens to another person can happen to you if you fall into similar circumstances. So I'm mentioning all of that because we have concerns for each other, for the human family, and we want to see them better. And that may bring him to Islam. And if I see him again, I might talk to him about wudu. It's an opportunity for me to do dawah with him. So I might stop him and talk to him and say, man, I was noticing your feet. I'm not going to try to offend him, but there was a neighborhood gas station, so I'll probably see him again, and I'll have an opportunity. And you will never know what will help a person. I remember when I was about 13 or 14 years old, a Muslim stopped me from eating something that he told me was bad for my health. And I listened to him. I didn't stop eating it. I still ate it. But I listened to him, and I found out later that he was genuinely concerned about what I was doing to my body. And that was a form of dawah. And that's what we should be involved in. We should be involved in spreading the message about Islam as much as we can, and trying to grow the Muslim community in America so that we can be more influential. And we want to be influential. We want to influence this society to become better. We want to influence the society. We want to push back the forces of darkness and ignorance. We want to push back those influences that cause people to fall victim to alcohol and drugs. We already have a formula for doing that. We already have a track record of cleaning people up, calling people away from that kind of behavior. And I'm going to read a hadith, and then I'll conclude my khutbah. I believe my time is nearly up. We don't want to go too long, and we don't want to fail to deliver the message that can uplift our lives. So let me read this particular hadith. Inshallah. is referencing from the Quran. It says, this is from Imam in Nawawi's 40 Hadith. Verily, the creation of each one of you is brought together in his mother's womb for 40 days, in the form of a nutfa, a drop. Then he becomes an alaqah, clot of blood, for a like period. Then a mudghah, morsel of flesh, for a like period. Then there is sent to him the angel who blows his soul into him, and who is commanded with 4 matters: to write down his rizq, his sustenance, his lifespan, his actions, and whether he will be happy or unhappy, whether or not he will enter paradise, by the one other than whom there is no deity. Verily, one of you performs the actions of the people of paradise until there is but an arm's length between him and it, and that which has been written overtakes him. And so he acts with the actions of the people of hellfire, and thus enters it. And verily, one of you performs the actions of the people of hellfire until there is but an arm's length between him and it, and that which has been written overtakes him. And so he acts with the actions of the people of paradise, and thus he enters it. So I'm reading that to say we can be a doorway where people who are behaving in a way right now that we think will send them to hell. But that which Allah has written can intervene on their behalf, and they can become the people of paradise by learning Islam and practicing Islam and becoming better people. So I invite all of you, I encourage all of you to continue to befriend people, continue to share Al-Islam with them in hopes that our community can become stronger by virtue of those people entering into Al-Islam. We know that Muhammad the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he prayed for 2 non-believers, as we would call them today. They were not Muslims. They were not believing in him. They were not believing in Allah. And he asked Allah, he said, send me help through one of the 2 Umars, Umar bin Hakam and Umar ibn al-Khattab. And we know the rest of the history. Umar al-Khattab became Muslim. But initially, he went to see the Prophet to put an end to him. And he was going to put an end to Prophet Muhammad because he thought he was dividing the people. And on his way there, someone saw him with his weapons and with his demeanor and his attitude, and they asked him where was he going. And he said he was going to put an end to Muhammad the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they said, well, first you should take care of your own household before you go straighten him out, because your sister is with him. So he went to see his sister, and he knocked on the door in a way that it frightened them. So they were reading the Quran. They were reading the Quran when he got to their house, and they hid the Quran from him. And he came in and he wanted to know what they were reading. And they didn't want to tell him. Then they got into an argument and started fighting. And he hit her husband and she helped her husband. And then he hit her and drew blood, and it caused him to be sorrowful. And then they made him make wudu before they would let him read the Quran. Isn't that a wonderful story? But it converted him. And Umar was one of the 18 people that knew how to read and write that were among the Quraysh. And also Umar was a black man. Many of y'all didn't know that. Umar was a black man. enemy combatants that had got captured there and put into slavery in Mecca, and he was an African of African descent. And he was a tall man with bushy hair. So I just want to make that historical note. And you can read about him in Jane Rogers'